Welcome to FitBody Lifestyle, the show where we dive deep into the world of fitness, health, business, relationships, and the art of living a balanced life. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Greg, and we're here to give you the benefit of our experiences in the fitness and bodybuilding industry, the corporate world, running a business, personal development, and building healthy relationships.
Whether you're sweating it out in the gym, hustling in your business, or seeking balance in your everyday life, you're in the right place.
So lace up those sneakers and grab that water bottle, and let's get ready to transform our minds, our bodies, and our lives. Good day, everybody, and welcome to another episode of FitBody Lifestyle and our Fusion Hack. Our Fusion Hack today is identifying your optimal learning style. And I'm joined here by my beloved, my betrothed, my entire world, Jamie D. Thank you for everything that you do for me. I am for being just the most amazing person I know. And let's kind of set the table for why this came up. We were dealing with an athlete in a posing session this week, and we had given this athlete a lot of feedback on posing adjustments, very repetitive in terms of the posing adjustments week after week, and none of it seemed to be sticking. And then we did an in-person or a virtual posing session with them, and it was very evident that this person learns visually because what we were unable to accomplish in multiple feedback sessions verbally or written wise, we were able to accomplish in 25 minutes visually. And so we thought that it would be important for us to kind of talk to you a little bit about what is your optimal learning style.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we realized, like you said, with this particular athlete is that she needed the visual cue. So basically what I ended up doing is demonstrating it for her. And that way she was able to differentiate, a lot of times it's the words that we're using that just might not click. So being able to then see it, was helpful. And so and this is not the first time, of course, that we've had this happen, where, we're communicating or one of our other coaches is communicating with an athlete and it's just not resonating. So, they keep doing it the same way and the frustration's building, and then it's like, what's going on? And then, finally, once let's say they're more of a kinesthetic learner. So they actually need the tactile cues, so we've had that happen where I'll actually, touch somebody and show them what I mean. One of the things that, we have people do when they're hitting their back pose is make sure they're not closing and pinching their shoulder blades together from the back. So a lot of times we'll describe what to do. One of the things that we'll do sometimes is have them flex their upper chest because that allows them to relax and open their back. And I've explained that to people, through check-ins or, even on a video chat, that kind of thing, and they're just not getting it. And then they'll be in person and I'll just tap them, flex right here, and then bam, they do it.
Yep.
And this is maybe someone who's just more of a kinesthetic learner. So they needed that tactile, that sensation. And the same goes for training. Sometimes you'll see a trainer that will, while the person's, they're working their rear delts and they might tap on the rear delt just to help connect the mind with the rear delt. So that particular person may respond better or be able to tune in better to know whether or not they're doing it correctly based on that tactile sort of cue. So that person could be a bit more kinesthetic. And of course, we all are visual, kinesthetic, and auditory. I mean, we all have some level of that.
So we just identify those three learning styles. Okay. So identify them. Go ahead.
Yes, I just.
Well, okay, but spend a little bit of time. So so the three primary learning styles: auditory, kinesthetic, visual. Okay.
Right.
And while you may have a dominant source or a dominant preference in one of those, most of us will learn in several of them, and it depends on the task. So depending on the task, you might learn more visually than auditory or more kinesthetic than visual. It depends. So you're not tied to one, but everybody does have a dominant sense of one of those three. And I think as you walk through it, that the illustration of that is that if you're auditory, I can talk to you about, hey, move your right foot, move your left foot. And it's funny that this brings me back to the Army time, and that it never ceased to amaze me how many people didn't know what their right and left were. And part of it is that, part of it is peer pressure. Look, you're marching in a formation and the drill sergeant says right face and you go left because you're just you're overwhelmed by that situation. So, but I never underestimate the fact that some people don't necessarily cue into right and left. And for some people, it's your back leg versus your front leg. And so you need to explore some different auditory cues for people. But auditory is where I can just speak it. Visual is where they have to see it. And I think that's self-explanatory. And then kinesthetic is where they have to feel it. And feeling it can be a number of different ways. As Jamie just described, it might be touching or tapping. I've seen her take her fingers or thumbs and push the shoulder blades out to get people to open their back. And with that kinesthetic cue. And sometimes it's just the doing of it yourself to actually see it. One of the things that we encourage our athletes to do is to videotape themselves doing particular movements, because that visual affirmation, what you think you're doing or what you're feeling in that moment may not necessarily be what you're doing, which is why the power of videotape is so important for people. The short little story, we had an athlete we were trying to get to explore some more energy during a posing session, and we said, okay, come completely out of yourself, just go wild, go just outrageous. And the routine that she did was the same as what she had done when she was doing her regular routine, because she couldn't feel the difference. She was not a kinesthetic learner. She was more of a visual learner. We had to show her what that looked like.
Right. And so as you learn what you respond best to, that can help propel you forward. And so as coaches, that's something we're constantly exploring, is how can we find different ways to touch on these different learning types and help to identify, if somebody's not resonating with how we're telling them. Maybe we start out by giving them a description and that's not resonating. So then maybe what we do next is we'll take a picture, and on that picture we might put some
markups,
lines, marks, things like that. So to give that visual, and if that's still not working, then, it's so we kind of go in those steps to make sure that we're covering our bases, and that, hopefully we're resonating. And I like what you said too, that, sometimes a certain cue, even a verbal cue, with pulling the core tight, that's one where we've got a lot of different cues for it, because it's really hard for people to initially, get in touch with and feel it. So usually I'll have people, laugh, and then some people are so reserved or they're embarrassed, they don't want to laugh out loud. And, so, we might say, okay, pretend somebody's going to punch you in the stomach. And what would you do? You would tense up and pull everything in tight, so it's kind of interesting, as we've heard other coaches explaining it, we've picked up and shared with others, different ways. And it's just interesting how once you find that one description, that one way of explaining it to that particular person that resonates, bam, you got it. So it's a lot of fun. And so you can play with this and have fun with this. You can do it with yourself. Like you said, video yourself, watch the video, see how that goes. Have somebody listen to cues. I usually will video the person and have my voice explaining what they're doing over the video, so they can go back and watch it and listen to it. And then if possible,
and that reinforces the learning.
Yeah.
Right?
And then if possible, you can get some of that tactile and do some in person. If that's something you have the option to do, that's my favorite. I'm kinesthetic, so that's my number one. So the hands-on for me is definitely the most effective, whether I'm showing someone or someone's showing me something. I remember when I was in Montessori school, that was always the best for me, because they really are, one of the few, I think, learning modalities that really integrates the kinesthetic aspect of it. But the kinesthetic, I think, is the hardest.
It is, especially when you're virtual.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
because you can't obviously touch the person. So the hack for today really is this: just do your best to identify your best learning style, whether you're visual, whether you're kinesthetic, or whether you're auditory. And look, there's things online that you can search for. I'm not going to really go into that, and simply the reason is because I think what resonates with you. I think most people identify what way you learn best. And when you have identified that way, then ask for that. Okay, hey, look, I'm a kinesthetic learner. And if you are a kinesthetic learner and you can't be there with somebody, at least explore the options around that. There are some things that can be done in that respect. They're a little bit more challenging, but if you are a particular style of learner, identify that. Let people know that that's how you learn, and embrace that. It really goes into that vein of asking for what you want. Anything else you want to cover on this hack?
I think that was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, comment, and leave a review. We look at all that, and we appreciate it all. And we appreciate you. And remember the 3 B's: be safe, be good to yourself, and be good to one another.
Thank you for tuning in to FitBody Lifestyle. We hope today's episode has left you feeling motivated and equipped to tackle your fitness goals, business challenges, and the daily dance of life. Remember to value progress over perfection. Life's tough enough alone. Find the chosen family around you to help you along the way.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite streaming platform. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at FitBody Fusion.